the traditional notion of psychoanalysis is that because of some inner obstacles, you internalized, identified excessively with paternal or other social prohibitions, you cannot set yourself free to enjoy. Pleasure is not accessible for you. It is accessible to you only in pathological forms of feeling guilty and so on. So then the idea is psychoanalysis allows you to suspend, overcome these internalized prohibitions so that it enables you to enjoy. The problem today is that the commandment of the ruling ideology is enjoy in different ways. It can be sexual enjoyment, consumption, commodity enjoyment, up to spiritual enjoyment, realize yourself, whatever. And I think that the problem today is not how to get rid of your inhibitions and to be able to spontaneously enjoy. The problem is how to get rid of this injunction to enjoy.
Organizations such as the New York Psychoanalytic Institute have helped gain general acceptance for theories considered radical when first advanced some 50 years ago by Dr. Sigmund Freud. The relationship between childhood frustrations and disturbed adult behavior has been clearly traced by such authorities as Dr. René Spitz of New York.
Distressing experiences in childhood may set up patterns which in later life will produce mental conflicts. Such conflicts lead to the same feeling of insecurity which was felt as a child. When such conflicts paralyze the individual, preventing him from acting freely, he is said to have a neurosis. Let us see how a neurosis develops.
When? Okay, you also. Okay. One of the big reproaches to psychoanalysis is that it's only a theory of individual pathological disturbances, and that applying psychoanalysis to other cultural or social phenomena is theoretically illegitimate. It asks in what way you as an individual have to relate to social field, not just in the sense of other people, but in the sense of the anonymous social as such, to exist as a person. You are, under quotation marks, normal individual person, only being able to relate to some anonymous social field. What is to be interpreted and what not is that everything is to be interpreted. That is to say, when Freud says Unbehagen in der Kultur, civilization and its discontent, more literally the uneasiness in culture, he means that it's not just that most of us as normal, we socialize ourselves normally, some idiots didn't make it, they fall out, they have to be normalized. Not culture as such, in order to establish itself as normal, what appears as normal, involves a whole series of pathological cuts, distortions, and so on and so on. There is, again, a kind of Unbehagen, uneasiness. We are out of joint, not at home, in culture as such, which means, again, that there is no normal culture. Culture as such has to be interpreted. When people ask me, why do I combine Lacan with Marx? Well, my first answer is Lacan already did it. I think, for example, that it's only through the strict psychoanalytic Lacanian notion of fantasy that we can really grasp what Marx was aiming at with his notion of commodity fetishism. It's, I think, precisely the use of Lacanian notions like, again, fantasy, fantasy in the strict Lacanian sense, or excess plus de jouir, excess enjoyment, and so on, the real, not to mention the real, that we can understand today's phenomena like new fundamentalist forms of racism, like the way our so-called permissive societies are functioning. Again, here, the psychoanalytic notion, especially the way it was conceptualized by Lacan, the psychoanalytic notion of superego as injunction to enjoy, as an obscene category, not as a properly ethical category, is of great help. So again, I think that if Freud, in his Freudian theory in its traditional configuration, was appropriate to explain the standard capitalism which relied to some kind of a more traditional ethic of sexual control, repression, and so on, then Lacan is perfect to explain the paradoxes of permissive late capitalism.